Hey, Brock Science 1P51 students, Ian Gordon, Brock Science Librarian, here to give you some tricks, some tips, some strategies and ways to be successful for this really neat assignment, and general orientation to science library databases, resources, and ways of getting this assignment done and doing a good job at it as well. This term paper assignment is pretty simple. It's to select an article. You may have done this in other courses, and to write an evaluation on this particular paper. So finding the appropriate paper that meets the requirements of this course is of interest. We'll talk more about this later. And handing it in time is really important in this particular course. You've got to choose an article from a peer-reviewed science article from January 2021 to the present, using topics covered in this particular course. A particular type of document, so it outlines what it's not supposed to be, how to cite it, and then setting it in time. So that's pretty simple, but some people who are non-science majors, who are new to research, maybe you're a mature student, maybe English isn't your first language, maybe you're just not comfortable moving around the library. Hopefully we'll give you some success to finding the right document, to handing it in on time, and then help with the evaluation as you move forward. So here's your lecture schedule of lectures and seminars you are currently having, or you may have. So you have to pick a topic that relates to this course, and it has to be science. It's not political science, it's not policy, it's not sociology. It has to be science, and that's a trick to this particular course in this assignment as well. So here's the weeks you've done, you are doing, and you will come. So you have to pick a topic that relates to one of these topics and themes. As we move to the Brock Library homepage, there's lots of resources here for you as well. Though we may be off campus now, you may be coming on campus like me, but the library hours are there, our services and resources are all available for you to use. If you go further down on this page, I just want to highlight a couple things that are kind of neat. One of my colleagues, Chelsea Humphreys, is offering library yoga. And you may say, I've never done library yoga before, and I hadn't done either. But how to do yoga in your chair, how to stretch out, it's a really good break. So consider finding the dates and times and signing up through Experience Plus for library yoga with Chelsea. Another opportunity is Justine Cotton, an English Lit and Language subject librarian. She's starting a research that relates to a reading group. It's a wellness reading group. So if you love to read, love to participate in this group, or want to know more about it, contact Justine as soon as you can. I'm hoping some of you will jump in and join this reading group that's going to be running through this winter term. Okay, back to the library. Research guides is where your next click is and the research guides will come up on a page like this. Guides sorted by subject, by type, and by owner. When you want to click on the science guide. On this guide, you'll see my picture without my hat. And then tabs on the left-hand side, articles that you could find through certain open and proprietary databases that are listed there. How to find books and ebooks. Streaming videos, which are really neat to use for this or any other particular course. What peer review means. Radar is a strategy to know how peer review means. A writing and citing tab, and how to get more help as well. On the bottom of this page, you'll see this YouTube video archived, but you'll also find the other one where I take you through Web of Science and show you how I would, and you may learn a few tricks and tips about how to use the Web of Science core collection database. So check this out after this. Here's the tab, what is peer reviewed? You may know about it, but again, you have to pick out, because not all the articles say this is a peer reviewed article. You have to discern, and Dr. Stars and your lab assistants will go over this. And it's a tricky thing. There's some videos, there's some activities, and really neat things to help you get what that concept means, because it's really the gold standard of scholarly publication. Under the writing and citing tab, there's a number of tools. Zotero is a citation management machine which takes your articles, puts them into a file, then creates citations so you can do in-text writing. You can track what you've looked at, what you've not looked at, what you'd like to look at for courses from now forward, as long as you're using it through Brock and even past Brock as well. People say that it saved their life using a citation management, which is usually free. Book a consultation and I can show you and help you set up. And once you've used it, you'll say that it's just amazing to use. You don't need it for this assignment. But one of these sources, I'll show you in a minute, is Zotero Bib, which runs off the Zotero database, which is a free app. It's a downloadable. It's a database you can use to create your own citations as well. But further down on this page, you'll see a link to resources that can help you when writing a summary of a research article. Now, you'll go over this in seminars, and Dr. Stars will talk about it, but these are things that I found in the past. Quick 1-page, 2-minute sorts of things that kind of highlight how to create a summary that isn't an annotated bibliography, that isn't a review, but how to write a summary of a research article. Again, that's next up in these assignments. Article databases are listed here, how to search by keywords in databases, things that are in SCIE. It says this can be tricky, and it is. And that's why we call it the art of online searching, because there's no one database, there's no one way to do this. Further down the page, where you see kind of neat new databases we have access to, these are the databases that I suggest that you use for this assignment. We'll start from the bottom. Google Scholar, you've maybe used before. It's an open database, but opened in the Brock IP domain. It gives you links to resources that we have. Quick and dirty, but it's pretty blunt. Scholars Portal eJournal databases are journal databases that are in other sources as well. The neat thing about this database is you can search for words in the articles, just not about the articles. Environment Index, Academic Search Complete, maybe you've used those before. Omni is the database we have on our front page, and it works quite well, and you can use this for this assignment. But I'm suggesting you use the Web of Science Core Collection. The reason why I'm asking you to use it, or suggest you trying it, is that it has core science journals. So it lessens non-science journals. We have almost all the journals that are in it, and allows you some flexibility. I'll show you in a minute. So I'd suggest you start it with the Web of Science Core Collection database. So again, here's our strategy. Here's our seminar topics. I'm going to pick food additives as an example. You may choose it as well, but just to help you kind of work through the databases to know how to use it. So you have to find a topic that works for you from 2021 to the present, scholarly peer reviewed, no less than 4 or 5 pages, no more than 7 or 8, but that's hard to do because databases don't limit by page numbers. And actually, most articles are born digitally such that they really don't have pages. The strategy here is they don't want you to find an article that's too short because it usually doesn't meet the criteria for the course. They don't want it too long because they don't want to read it and you don't want to read it. You don't want something that's 20 pages long. Has to have citations at the end, should be in English language. And these are the not things that were in the SCIE assignments tab. It's not a news summary, it's not a commentary, not a review article as well. And it's not social science or psychology paper. And that could be tricky for some people as well. It should be of personal interest. It should be understandable because you have to summarize it and read it. Sometimes in subjects like genetics or in cloning or even pharmaceutical industry, it may be news, which we don't want, and it may be a quantum leap jump to things that you just go, I have no idea what they're talking about. So you want to stay away from those sorts of things as well. You don't want it to be too complex. And that's the art of online searching. So I picked the topic, food additives, and I kind of brainstormed, went through Wikipedia and other sources, other databases and books. I pulled up a list of keywords because the results you get in any database are directly related to the search terms and how they're inputted at the beginning. So I wanted to look at soft drinks, which is pop, beverages, Coke and Pepsi. But they're types of artificial sweeteners, so that's a type of food additives. So that looked interesting. And then I said, well, what are artificial sweeteners used in pop and beverages? So it's sugars, aspartame, saccharin, and that's how they're spelt as well. So I put them to one side. I also noted the assignment that I want to pick up population, children, but children can also, synonyms are teens or adolescents, boys, girls, kids, youth as well. And it says you want to look for adverse reactions. Well, I looked up some of these are some of the adverse reactions. Hypertension, stroke, obesity. So I've got my database. I've got my boundaries, which I need to use. And I've got my keywords. Let's jump into the database. So here's my diagram. So on the bottom left, I have my strategies or boundaries that I need to use. I'm going to use Web of Science Core Collection as my database of choice. And on the top right, it says it has to meet the requirements for the course. And that's really specific. Maybe of interest to you, but it has to meet the requirements of the course. So I've got 3 large concepts and buckets and other filters or filters I need to use. I've put them all in a row. Now, if you could find an article that was published since 2021 that's 4 to 7 or 8 pages long that was like adverse reactions of children drinking too many soft drinks, that would be great. That usually doesn't happen because researchers usually get something more specific, something towards a chemistry, towards a health, and it has to be science. Remember, this is a science course, not a health course, not a psychology course, social science course. It's a science course. So really, sometimes when you look at this, you'd like to find all the articles that have these three concepts together, or maybe two concepts like adverse reactions of children. That may be interesting. Or adverse reactions in food additives, whether they be pop or food types of drinks. That'd be interesting. So you kind of have to lessen your expectations. I'm thinking food additives dealing with children, dealing with pop or soft drinks is probably where I need to go. And those are the keywords that I found were used in the literature and I need to use as well. So we're almost ready to jump in. Web of Science Core Collection right off the Articles tab on the Science Library Guide. And you jump in, and I actually completed this search strategy here. So you have a blank slate and you could add certain rows. So or concepts that are similar together, like food additive. And if you put quotation marks around two words, it picks that word up as a phrase. So quotation mark, food additive, question mark, picks up all the terms, whether they be in titles, abstracts, author keywords, or database keywords, has the word food beside the word additive. Or sweetener, and I've put that shift data asterisk after the word sweetener there, which picks up any word with that root, like sweeteners or sweetenering, I'm not sure, but it picks up things. And at the end I've said soft drinks, so soft beside the word drink, and drinks or drinking, and it's put those strategies together. You don't want to be too ridiculous, but for my list of keywords, I like to find everything on that concept and put it to one side. Then I want to put everything on one side dealing with my population, child or children or children's. I hyphenate, put the truncation key there, boy or girl, youth or adolescence is a good term, or student or students. And then my third concept, and I'll put these three buckets together, are adverse or toxic or toxicology or obese or obesity, diabetes or diabetic, or healthy or health related. Those I figured this would work well, and this is where I want to start. But after I did my searching, I pushed and pulled, tested and tried different keywords. I found out that this worked best. I looked for words and titles of articles that had these words. Then on the left-hand side, I looked for words in the abstract that had my population in, knowing that almost all research relating to this, food additives, dealt with sweeteners or artificial sweeteners, or food additives dealing with children's, and then dealing with soft drinks as well. So you don't want to get too specific, but you want it to be too broad. And that's the art of online searching. So here's the results I got. I got 3,620 articles, which is a lot of articles. Again, we have most or all of these in our library. Most of these are scientifically peer reviewed, but again, you have to filter that as well. So I took these, and on the left-hand side in this database, it gives you the filters by language, by material type, and by year or date of publication as well. So you can filter, and you need to do that as well. And the filters actually work quite well. On the top right-hand side, it says relevance. You can sort these records by anyways, and you could play with those as well. So I played with it a while, and I used the top tab, so I limited by publication years, 2021 to 2022, this year. Type of articles, which is articles, not review articles, not other sorts of funny things, and I looked for everything that was in English language as well. On the right side, I sorted by relevance, so I've got 235. Is that too many, too few, or just right? Well, serendipity is still a research methodology, so your language brings up a number of articles, but you only need to find one. What usually happens is you pick 20 or 10 or 5 and then look at them and decide, oh, these 3 look interesting. I'll pick this one for my assignment and actually get the full text of the document as well. The left arrow there, it clicks on soft drink consumption article. If you click on the button there, what you do is you mark it and click on add to mark list. And so as you move through these articles, or you do a different search in the database until you actually leave the database, you can mark or put them to one side and have them so at the very end you look at items you've marked that may be of interest as well. So I went to 235 from quite a few. I think that's just about right. And browsing, just looking at titles and going through these and clicking off or sending these to a marked list that are appropriate is a neat strategy you'll use for this assignment and maybe others as well. I found 14 articles, and you can see on the top it says marked list of 14. So of those 230 so, I found 14 that kind of looked interesting. It would have met my criteria. Note that in this database you can't limit by page length. So you have to actually look at each document to see whether it's too long or too short. But more importantly, right now you have to look at these to see if they meet the requirements for the course. The date, scholarly peer-reviewed. So you need to have those filters not only in the database but in your head as well. And then, do they meet the requirements of the course? Are they science as opposed to social sciences, health sciences, medical sciences? And that's tricky as well. And that's usually the hardest part of this assignment. So I'm going to browse through them. I've got 14 articles that I think I just need one. Let's see if I can find 2 or 3 that make more relevant. So I click on the titles, and it gives you the title, the authors, the source, the name of the journal it's in, an abstract, the author keywords, and actually the database keywords they manufacture, just to help you to search for these. Will this work? Free choice in the title. I don't know. Sounds more like an opinion piece than it is science. Here's another article, Perceived Healthiness of Sweeteners Among Youth Adults in Canada. So you can look at the methodology, and what did they do? Is it a survey? You want science. You want them taking blood, measuring something, creating tables and figures and those sorts of things. You don't want an opinion piece. So steer away from things that say perceived, because that means an opinion or objective bias. So I'm not even going to go close to near this article. Adverse Reactions to Food Additives in Children, a retrospective study and a prospective survey. Oh, wow. That'd be really neat. It actually tells you page length there, so it's what? It's only 3 pages long. Something wrong here. But this looks like social science. I don't want a survey. I want science. So this won't do. Intake of low and non-calorie sweeteners. A Brazilian population. I look at the name of the journal. It looks interesting. It's about 13 pages long. I don't know, maybe. I want to read the methodology, so it's not demographics or epidemiology. It's pure science as well, physical science. Estimated assessment of dietary exposure to artificial ingredients from processed food. So this is looking good, processed food. And if you look at the abstract, read the methodology, they actually measured stuff. They measured caloric and sweeteners and the abundance and relevancy of those sorts of things. On the top left-hand corner, you can click on Find It at Brock, or you can take the title, or the other arrow takes to the DOI number, which is unique to this article. You can put this in Google Scholar, just on the internet, in our Brock IT domain, and I'll bring up the article. This is probably one of my 3 articles I'm going to suggest. It's not perfect. It's not. I can read it. I can understand. It looks of interest. A good assignment is a done assignment. So I'm going to try to pick this one. I look at the article itself. I read the title. I read the author. Is it peer-reviewed? First, it was published in 2021. Good, I can use it. Institutional addresses, DOIs. Let's get the full text of the article. Author title, abstract. Article history says it was received. It was accepted and modified. So it went through that peer process because it tells you they handed it in. Peers blindly assessed to whether it was appropriate. I guess it was because it was published, and it was published in the date I'm looking for. Kind of looks interesting, so I think I could use it. Now look at it further. It has methods and materials. I need that. I need a methodology. I need conclusions. What did they find? Because that's part of my evaluation. References, meaning it means a scholarly peer-reviewed article that has added to this body of knowledge. So it has something unique or interesting about it. It has tables or data or figures or graphs to suggest that they did measure something. So it is science as opposed to social science, health sciences, or epidemiology. And there's my citation that I pulled up as well. On the top left-hand corner, I looked at the DOI that was there. And again, I looked at the article history. Sometimes you have to look for it. It's usually always there to see it was received, revised, and published. So it kind of tells you that, yes, this has gone through the peer review process. I took that DOI and put it in Zotero Bib. If you've never used this, there's many other citation machines that work kind of well. This works well all the time. I usually don't say that, but this works well. So go to Zotero Bib, bookmark it, put it on your computer or your laptop, put in DOIs or ISBNs or other identifying numbers, and you click on the style format you want. I clicked on APA. There's about 100 that are there, and it produces this citation, which you can cut and paste. And if you look at it, there's nothing I need to change. And that's really refreshing. A citation management system that's free, that's right out there, that just needs a DOI, works clickety-bang. So let's just summarize here. Library Subject Guide for Science. You need to go there just to get access to these and other resources as well. You need to browse topics and guides in SCIE. You kind of got to go through what's there and what needs to be done. Test a topic that works for you from your lectures. I picked the one that I thought was interesting, but it's up to you to decide. So it's nice to have a choice. Develop a list of keywords and phrases. Language is important. Watch that video on Web of Science Core Collection Demonstration. It's on the front page, as you can see here. Gives you a bit more expertise to feel more comfortable actually going in and doing these sorts of things I've talked about. Search, sort, try again. So you could try different types of search, mark records as you move along, browse, and then look at the full citations for each of the database articles that are cited. You can download, use ZeteroBib like we just used to grab the citation. And check out the references that can help you in writing a summary of a research article or how to summarize sorts of things. When we get to that, it's there as well. And be sure to make sure that you meet the due dates. That's really important. Do this ahead of the due dates so that your TA or your professor, who is your TA leader, can get these things in. You can move forward knowing that you've done the assignment. But ask for assistance using chat, which is on our library homepage. You can email me or somebody else. You can book a consultation. And the arrow is where it says book a consultation right in the minute. What it does is it opens up and it provides my schedule. You can look at your schedule. So let's say next Tuesday or Friday afternoon, you need 24 hours notice. You can email me and it'll ask you, what do you want to meet Mr. Gordon or Ian for? And you say, hey, I need help with Web of Science Core, or help me with this, or I don't understand that, or can we download Zotero and load it so that it'll work for me in the future? Click on that and it sends me a message, and it sends you a message as well. We can help, so don't feel shy at any time for asking for assistance. But good luck for this assignment. It's a really neat assignment, but make sure you do the due date. And you take advantage of all the free resources that are used for this assignment and other assignments in courses that you may or may not take in the future. So good luck with this assignment and this great course. All the best.